Hello, welcome. I am Eric Jepson, President of the Association for Mormon Letters, and this is our 2020 conference, such as it is. As you can see, I am sitting alone in my backyard instead of meeting with you all at the Sons of the Utah Pioneers building in Salt Lake City as originally planned. You know why. You don't need me to explain to you why. It will be decades before anyone watches this video and needs an explanation why in early 2020 I am sitting in my backyard alone instead of meeting with people a couple states over. It's the way it is. I chose to begin the AML Awards ceremony for work published in 2019 here on this little hill in my backyard. So what you need to know is for years now, we've had this patch of dirt, this edging of our yard covered in a layer of cardboard to slowly kill specifically the oxalis, which is nefarious stuff and keeps its bulbs underground. It's very difficult to get rid of. But we had the cardboard there for literally years. We had so many salamanders living under it. And for her birthday this year, my wife wanted us to finally dig it up. So we, the whole family, spent much of the summer digging. We dug down below the oxalis, and one of the things we did is we built this little hill. The idea was that it would be a lovely little thing for our toddler daughter to run over. Maybe the older boys wouldn't care as much, but it would be a great fun thing for her. But if you look at the hill behind me right now, you'll notice it is not exactly the easiest thing to run over. The dirt that we chose to build the hill out of came from the other side of the house, and as you can see, it brought a lot of seeds with it. Now, these seeds are kind of great. I forget what this is. It looks edible, though. This is very pretty. It's going to have nice little flowers on it later. We have, fava beans growing. We planted these on the other side of the house to fix nitrogen. The whole plant's edible. Tastes remarkably like green peas. It really does taste like green peas. We have some California poppies growing directly behind me. They're about to bloom. You can't see them from this angle. We have quite a few poppies that later in the season will be the vibrant blood red poppies, which I just realized is sort of in a centenary sort of way appropriate. Anyway, this hill, I feel like we need to make it a metaphor. I'm sitting on it. It's lovely. But what does it mean? Isn't part of what literature does the search for meaning, like finding meaning in our world, or if not actually in our world, in versions of our world? Literature is the great laboratory of life. And life is exactly what I see when I look at this hill. Everything is green and beautiful and living. And maybe that's what we need right now. Also, if you could see the hill, and you can't because it's covered by vibrant plant life, you would see that its shape is very Cumorah-like, which got me thinking of the hill Cumorah and the idea of hills as places that hide unexpected treasures. But here's the thing about treasure. It doesn't necessarily have to be unexpected, right? Like if an angel's told you there's treasure in this hill, you're going to find it. And that's, I assume, why you're listening to this AML Awards ceremony, because you know there's treasure out there and you just want to find it. We're going to talk about the finalists in the various categories right now, but I printed off a list of them all right now and saw how I did treating this as a checklist this year. I've read all the short fiction and poetry, so I feel very good about that. I thought I'd read all the comics, but actually I've only read 2 and part of a third. I've read 1 novel, 1 picture book, 1 piece of criticism, half of one of the creative nonfiction books, 3 halves of the 3 religious nonfiction books. I've read 1 of the works of drama. Not as of the moment I'm talking to you, but by the time you see this, there's a very good chance I will have seen 2 of the narrative feature films and 1 of the documentary feature films. I've seen 1 of the short films. There's so much great stuff out there. The Association for Mormon Letters was founded over 40 years ago to promote Mormon literature. And the thing is, it's not hard right now. There is so much excellent stuff out there. And the awards, that's what they're for. They're so that you don't have to go stumbling around a hill in the dark looking for something. It's so you know exactly where to look to find the best stuff out there. We'll hand out the awards in a second. But first, I want to hand the time over to my alter ego, Eric Jepson, who is standing in front of the camellia bush, and let him take us through a preview of what we're going to see tonight.
Thanks, Eric. I regret to say that the camellias are not as fully in bloom as one might hope. Wrong time of year, apparently. Should not be touching my face this way, but a little sticky. All right. So my job today is to talk about those who are receiving the Lifetime Awards, or if you prefer, the Body of Work Awards, and also to list off the finalists in each category, which I am quite excited by. So, without further ado, let's get to it. First up, the Smith-Pettit Award for Outstanding Contribution to Mormon Letters.
The Smith-Pettit Foundation Award for Outstanding Contribution to Mormon Letters in 2019 is awarded to James Arrington, playwright, actor, legend. A full program celebrating the work of James Arrington is available now. The 2019 AML Lifetime Achievement Award is given to R.A. Christmas, poet, critic, teacher, eternal being. There is also a full celebration of Brother Christmas, available online now.
Oh, shoot. Eric!
Yeah.
You totally forgot. You are stepping down at the end of this award ceremony as president, and you're handing it over to James. You need to, you were going to do something, remember?
Oh my gosh, you're right. Earlier, I was supposed to sort of hand the baton off to James, and I totally forgot. So James is kind of, let's see, that's west. The bay is over there, which means the mountains are this way. I can toss things over Mount Diablo easily enough. James! I hope he's listening.
The finalists for the AML Award for Novel are The Cunning Man by D.J. Butler and Aaron Ritchie, published by Bain Books. Irreversible Things by Lisa Van Orman Hadley from Howling Bird Press. Maggie's Place by Annette Hawes, Covenant Communications. Muddy, Where Faith and Polygamy Collide by Dean Hughes and published by Desert Book. The Glove Maker by Anne Weisgarber, Skyhorse Publishing. The short fiction finalists are You Can Give Him a Kiss by Allison Mazer Brimley, published in Sunstone. My Father's Liahona by Danny Nelson, published in Press Forward Saints, from Immortal Works. Bowden Iris by Levi Peterson, published in Dialogue, and Next of Kin by Karen Rosenbaum, published in Erie Anthem. The finalists for young adult novel are Lovely War by Julie Berry, published by Viking Press. Let's Call It a Doomsday by Katie Henry, published by Catherine Teagan Books. Scars Like Wings by Aaron Stewart, from Delacorte, and Waiting for Fitz by Spencer Hyde, Shadow Mountain. Our middle grade novel finalists are Out to Get You, 13 Tales of Weirdness and Woe by Josh Allen, published by Holiday House. The Red Flower by Kate Coombs, Blue Sparrow Books. Words on Fire by Jennifer A. Nielsen, Scholastic. And Two Time Castaways books by Liesl Shurtleff, published by HarperCollins. The picture book finalists are From a Small Seed, The Story of Eliza Hamilton by Camilla Andros and Tessa Blackham, from Henry Holt. Girls Who Choose God, Stories of Extraordinary Women from Church History by MacArthur Krishna, Bethany Brady Spalding, and Kathleen Peterson, published by Deseret Book. If Monet Painted a Monster by Amy Newbold and Greg Newbold, from Tilbury House Publishers. And Lola Dutch, When I Grow Up, by Kenneth Wright and Sarah Jane Wright, Bloomsbury Children's Books. The 2019 Criticism finalists: Danites, Damsels, and World Domination, Mormons in the Dime Novels, by Michael Austin in Sunstone. Poetic Representations of Mormon Women in Late 19th Century Frontier America, by Amy Easton Flake in Representing Rural Women, edited by Whitney Womack Smith and Margaret Thomas Evans, Lexington Books. Wrestling with God, Invoking Spiritual Mythos in LDS Literary Work by James Goldberg in Remember the Revolution, Mormon Essays and Stories. Mormons, Musical Theater, and Belonging in America by Jake Johnson, University of Illinois Press. Latter-day Screens, Gender, Sexuality, and Mediated Mormonism by Brenda R. Weber, Duke University Press. Creative Nonfiction Finalists. Remember the Revolution, Mormon Essays and Stories by James Goldberg. A New Constellation by Ashley May Hoyland from BCC Press. Crossings, A Bald Asian American Latter-day Saint Woman Scholar's Ventures Through Life, Death, Cancer, and Motherhood by Melissa Waitsing Inoue, Deseret Book, and the Maxwell Institute. Religious Nonfiction. A Place to Belong. Reflections from Modern Latter-day Saint Women, edited by Holly Reese Fluman and Camille Frank Olson, and published by Deseret Book. If Truth Were a Child, by George B. Handley, the Maxwell Institute. The Next Mormons, How Millennials Are Changing the LDS Church, by Jana Reese, Oxford University Press. And the 2019 AML Award finalists for comics are Dick Tracy, Dead or Alive, by Michael Allred, Lee Allred, Rich Tomaso, and Laura Allred from IDW Publishing. That's One Small Step for a Mom, One Giant Leap for a Missionary, by Kevin Beckstrom. Best Friends, by Shannon Hill and Lei Ewan Pham, First Second. And Super Elders and the Rise of Legion, by Matt Vroom. The 2019 drama finalists are Tells of Tila, by Carolyn Chatwin Merced, Project X by Taylor Hatch, and Bitter Lemon by Melissa Leilani Larson. Our narrative feature film finalists are The Fighting Preacher, directed by T.C. Christensen, The Other Side of Heaven 2, Fire of Faith, directed by Mitch Davis, and Out of Liberty, directed by Garrett Batty. Documentary feature film 2019, After Selma, directed by Loki Mulholland, The Jets, Making It Real, directed by Kels Goodman, Jimmer, The Lonely Master, directed by Scott Christopherson. The short film finalists: Father of Man, directed by Barrett Birkin, Paper Trails, directed by Heather Moser, Stick Up Kid, directed by Daniel Tu, and Man and Kin, directed by Max Johnson. The 2019 poetry finalists: Into the Sun, poems revised, rearranged, and new, by Colin Douglas, from Walking Lion Press. After Earth, by Michael Lavers, University of Tampa Press. The Tree at the Center, by Catherine Knight Sontag, BCC Press. The Marriage of the Moon in the Field, by Sunny Brown Wilkinson, Black Lawrence Press. And Homespun and Angel Feathers, by Darlene Young, BCC Press.
Welcome. We've now moved to a backer part of the backyard. We're next to the old abandoned chimney. Has not been used in decades. Probably haunted, though we have no firm evidence. But let's get started, shall we? The AML Awards for 2019. Thank you, Therick. Which category could it be? Blue. The AML Award for Creative Nonfiction in 2019 goes to Melissa Waitsing Inoue for Crossings, a bald Asian American Latter-day Saint woman scholar's ventures through life, death, cancer, and motherhood, published by Deseret Book and the Maxwell Institute. Setting aside traditional autobiography, Inoue has assembled something of a collage of different life-writing genres. Perhaps this work could have stooped to superficiality due to the author's diverse identities captured in the book's title. But rather than creating of herself a curiosity, Inoue quickly grounds these identities within a framework of humility and empathy. Perhaps nowhere does Inoue model this charity better than in her thoughtful, patient essays, open to the pain felt by those who are unhappy with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or who are unsettled in their faith. Never does Inoue discount real harms that rankle our ranks, nor does she belittle the real anxieties of young or beleaguered believers. Instead, she plays peacemaker, unwilling to see present challenges as anything less than opportunities for deepened discipleship, more authentic charity, and more informed faith.
Her idiom is as fresh as her faith, and in a way justly earns our attention through everyday persistence across place and time, trials and travels. Congratulations. And we have a clip. Is she here?
Greetings from Draper, Utah, where I sit next to a massive pile of laundry. I'm surprised and humbled to receive this great honor. Thank you so much for taking the time to read and engage with my book. I'd like to thank many people working with the Maxwell Institute, including Rosalind Welch, Tona Hagen, Miranda Wilcox, Morgan Davis, Spencer Fluman, Blair Hodges, David Holland, Christine Hagland, and Shirley Ricks. I'm grateful to Lisa Roper, Sherry Dew, and others at Deseret Book. I'd like to also give a shout out to Charity Shumway, my longtime literary exemplar and friend who read early drafts of the manuscript, and of course to my husband Joseph and to my kids featured in the book, The Bean, Sprout, Leaf, and Shoot. I'm so very aware in this age of coronavirus and endless Zoom meetings that it can be very tedious to hear people read long lists of names, so for this I apologize. Yet in a way, reading these names feels like one of the most concrete things that I've done all day. I've spent all day today, it seems, running around washing dishes, checking email, and downloading things, yet accomplishing nothing. But when I think about the awesome people who have spent so much time with me in the days when we used to spend time with each other, I feel the magnitude of my debts. Incurring a personal debt seems like a funny category of an accomplishment. Yet in times like this, separated from most people and many things, I feel so deeply the substance of our interactions with each other as thinkers, a community of writers, a community of Latter-day Saints. So many things pass away, but the presence of sisters and brothers in my life, faith, and world endures. Thank you so much.
To speak when she came to Berkeley several years ago, and when the book came out, I was very excited to read it. I've not read it yet, but that's on me, and I've learned my lesson. All right, what's next? Thank you, Therick. The AML Award for Religious Nonfiction goes to Holly Reese Fluman and Camille Franck Olson, the editors of A Place to Belong, Reflections from Modern Latter-day Saint Women, published by Deseret Book. Latter-day Saint women across the world represent a vast array of testimonies and backgrounds, offering unlimited possibilities for sharing and connection. Every woman has a story, and A Place to Belong proves that every story is worth sharing. Seamlessly incorporating both radical displays of feminism and tender expressions of faith, this book is accessible to members of every kind. Don't underestimate its gentle approach, though. The diverse list of contributors includes a Palestinian-born BYU Idaho professor, the first African-American missionary in Chile, the winner of the 2019 Woman of the Decade from the Women's Economic Forum, mothers, single women, members of the LGBTQ community, and more. This inclusive and empowering collection demonstrates there are countless ways to live a Mormon faith while rooted in feminism and attention to women's issues.
We are deeply honored and gratified to receive the 2019 AML Religious Nonfiction Award. We recognize our partnership with Deseret Book that made these diverse and important voices available to a larger audience. The recognition from this award is further evidence that acknowledging the diversity and richness among LDS women's stories is an important part of establishing Zion. Thank you for celebrating the value of each woman's faith journey. Thank you so much.
Well, great. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? No reason to wait. Thank you, Therick. The AML Award for Short Film goes to Father of Man, directed by Barrett Bergen. Or possibly Bergen, I should have asked him. Father of Man boldly envisions eternal progression and therefore postmortal imperfection through its main character Boyd, a flawed and unsupportive father who, after experiencing an untimely death, finds himself with the same weaknesses in the afterlife. Through an angelic guide, Boyd is given a warning that his still mortal son is about to make a life-altering bad decision and that he is the only person who can lead his son to a better path. Complicating the matter, Boyd's move to a post-mortal state only amplifies his impatience and inability to connect with his living son. Juggling dual narratives of flawed parents, a ghost story, and the challenges of listening to a still small voice, Father of Man movingly depicts the need for familial reconciliation that extends eternally in all directions of space and time. Featuring a beautiful and bittersweet soundtrack and otherworldly visuals, the film leans into a network of imperfect individuals on all sides of the veil, each responsible for working together to repent, to forgive, to connect, in order to achieve salvation. Congratulations, Barrett. Let's hear from you.
Hi, my name is Barrett Bergen, and I just want to thank the Association for Mormon Letters for this great honor. This achievement has been a goal of mine for many, many years, and I'm just super excited to have my work recognized by an association I have so much respect for. Thank you for continuing to always support Latter-day Saint art across many different mediums. I also want to give a warm congratulations to all the other nominees in the short film section. I personally know all of the filmmakers. They're extremely talented, and I look forward to the work that they do in the future. I'd also like to just express some words of appreciation for many people who helped this happen along the way. First and foremost, to my friend and mentor, Professor Jeff Parkin. Without him, the story wouldn't have been able to become what it was. He helped me to recognize how to share more personal elements, how to really hone in on the theme, and he's taught me pretty much everything I know about directing and writing. I'd also like to thank my wife, Jessica, for her many, many years of support and several years of support on this particular film, both on the production side as well as the accompanying thesis I wrote. Thank you to my parents for always really cheering me on in my dream to make films, as well as providing inspiration for a warm family story. And thank you to the BYU Media Arts program for funding this piece and for being such a prestigious and powerful institution of both creativity and faith. I'd also like to thank my friend and producer, John Newton. Without him, the film wouldn't have been possible at all. He brought together such a talented group of individuals, as well as I'd like to recognize my crew. They gave a lot of their time, and a lot of what ended up on the screen was because of their insights and their suggestions. Thank you to my cast. They each brought something vulnerable to the characters they portrayed and were willing to take a chance on me in telling a more kind of traditional family narrative. Finally, I just want to express appreciation for our shared faith tradition. It's unique, it's beautiful, it warrants a lot of inspiration for me, and I look forward to telling more stories about it in the future. And I also look forward to all the wonderful work that many other Latter-day Saint filmmakers provide that are both universal and rich in culture and faith. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I can't wait for it to appear online somewhere someday. All right, Derek. Thank you. Let's move on, shall we? It's red. It's a special award. This special AML award goes to Thorns and Thistles, a Concert of Literature, curated and compiled by James Goldberg and Nicole Wilkes Goldberg, directed by Ariel Rivera, music by Nicole Pinnell. The consumption of literature is largely solitary. Poetry reading, playwriting, and adaptations for the stage are welcome expectations, but how can literary works themselves be concertized for an audience? Thorns and Thistles, presented at the Center for Latter-day Saint Arts 2019 Festival in New York City, provided a template worthy of emulation. Taking work from 20 writers, the Concert of Literature told a 3-act story performed by 4 actors, with evocative and rueful cello accompaniment, honoring the original works while combining into something boldly and persuasively new. For members of the audience, Thorns and Thistles transcended any notion of a literary sampler, and should serve as a rallying cry for poets, novelists, essayists, lyricists, and other page-bound artists to storm the stage. I wish I could have been there. Do we have...
Hi, I'm Nicole Pinnell, and I'm the composer for Thorns and Thistles, a Concert of Literature. Now, this is a live production, and it is of many different authors, all woven into one overall breathtaking story. And it starts with this mystical pre-earth life and ends with the listener in the present moment. I'd like to give special thanks to Nicole and James Goldberg and Ari Rivera for inviting me to be in their live production, the Center for Latter-day Saint Arts in New York City for sponsoring it, and the many authors whose beautiful stories literally dug themselves into my heart as I prepared the score. I know many of you couldn't be there, so this is for you.
Oh, man, I am loving this. Should we move on to the next award? Thanks, Eric. The 2019 AML Award for Comics goes to Kevin Beckstrom. That's One Small Step for a Mom, One Giant Leap for a Missionary. Congratulations, Kevin. Kevin Beckstrom's simple, distinctive style has become instantly recognizable to Latter-day Saints throughout the world, and his charming sense of humor has allowed more than a few of us to laugh at ourselves and our fellow saints. That's One Small Step delivers smile-inducing cartoons about Mormon missionaries and the families that support them. It pokes fun at many of the situations that have become staples of the missionary experience. Eccentric companions, unpredictable weather, hard-to-learn languages, not investigators. The cartoons are like the quirky snapshots in a missionary's photo album, but they are also tributes to the young men and women who submit themselves to daily unpredictability in the cause of Jesus Christ and his message of peace. Do we have Kevin?
I'd like to thank the Association of Mormon Letters for this award. I'm very honored and humbled to receive this recognition for my book, That's One Small Step for a Mom, One Giant Leap for Missionary Kind. Frankly, it's an honor to have my work be listed alongside these other fantastic nominees. As you know, missionary work is the lifeblood of the church, and it's a great source of inspiration and humor. I am grateful for all those who have served, all those who are currently serving, and those who will yet serve in whatever way it may be. And I am grateful for this organization that encourages excellence in LDS literature in all its forms. Thank you.
This is fun, isn't it? It is fun. Let's keep going. Thanks, Eric. Got a bit of chimney dust on there. The AML Award 2019 for Drama goes to Project X by Taylor Hatch, produced by the Mod Theater Company at the Secret Theater in New York City. Project X is family history constructed in real time. Hatch deftly navigates the secrets, mystery, and discovery that haunt almost every family story by sharing the strength and choices that were part of hers. This family shows what it means to have faith deep enough to continue down a path of belief without knowing where it will lead, or if you will ever return. Richard has the faith of a child, believing in the actions of his parents without explanation, a faith that even through adulthood compels him to understand their actions and share them with his own family. His father has the faith to actively choose to die in order to protect those he loves and what he believes in, and his mother, perhaps possessing the greatest faith of all, chooses not only to stay, but to support this man. This is belief. This is family. This is life. Hatch's specific, creative, almost musical storytelling helps us feel the meaning behind it all.
Hi, I'm Taylor Hatch, and I'm just so truly honored to receive this award today. I know the work of many of the past recipients of this award, and I'm just happy to be in such good company. I've really enjoyed seeing a common theme among the finalists for drama this year of faith and choice. I wrote this play in an effort to understand a very interesting, challenging, special part of my own family history, and because I saw how important and defining it was to my grandfather, I decided to share it. I certainly didn't start out with all of the answers. This was a historical event, very shrouded in secrecy, and there are so many holes to this story. But how I approached it is that I presented the facts that I did know to my characters and then made them make the choices that I felt they would have made in real life. And this process was so touching to me to see these characters make choices based on faith without possibly knowing what this future could hold. This helped me have more compassion for my family and brought me closer to my family, both living and passed on. And so because of that, I would love to accept this award in honor of my grandfather, Richard Hayden, whose story this is. His story helped me have the courage to make choices in faith, especially in an uncertain time like this, and I hope that it can for you too. So everyone stay healthy and safe, and thank you so much again.
Okay, great. Derek, who we got next? Let's find out. The 2019 AML Award for Criticism goes to Amy Easton Flake for poetic representations of Mormon women in late 19th century frontier America, an essay appearing in Representing Rural Women, edited by Whitney Womack Smith and Margaret Thomas Evans, and published by Lexington Books. Poetic representations accomplishes what the best criticism sets out to do, elevates the text it engages with by illuminating new ideas and possibilities contained within it. Amy Easton Flake's essay is a deep, thoughtful engagement with a broad swath of poems from the women's exponent. Easton Flake demonstrates her familiarity with the poetry in weaving a narrative that gives insight into the day-to-day lives of these Mormon women by drawing on common themes in the poetry. The essay engages with the text of the poems as they are, finding meaning in what they say as a collective expression of values, while linking the text and themes to related contexts. Easton Flake demonstrates the richness that awaits those who give time and effort to the poetic work of Mormon women. Is she here? Who's next, Eric? The AML Award for Short Fiction goes to Next of Kin by Karen Rosenbaum, published in Ariantum. Next of Kin epitomizes literary grace with its gentle but sophisticated unfolding of a family saga that feels as if it is our own. Wholly realistic, Rosenbaum's tale opens human frailty to our view as if by revelation, slowly bestowing light on darkness and drawing from our souls empathy rather than judgment. She offers us the very Mormon idea that humans decide whether to love and forgive, and they must reckon with faith that promises answers it cannot yet provide. Whatever that reckoning may yield, Rosenbaum's characters choose to press on in the face of sorrow, limitation, and other serious troubles. Such actions are graceful, more important than resolution. These conundrums are both the shadow and the light of Next of Kin, a short story made wondrous by a master's hand. You know, if my neighbor's house wasn't in the way, I might be able to see Karen's house. Karen! Karen! Hang on. What's that? You see it? Derek, what's next? Oh, a good one. I don't know what it is yet. Let's find out. Picture book. The AML Award 2019 for picture book goes to Girls Who Choose God, Stories of Extraordinary Women from Church History. Written by MacArthur Krishna and Bethany Brady Spalding and illustrated by Kathleen Peterson. Published by Deseret Book. The latest, Girls Who Choose God, is an engagingly written collective biography of 15 notable women of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, anchored by recognizable names such as Lucy Mack Smith, Emma Hale Smith, and Emmeline B. Wells. It also includes many readers. Try that again. All right, we feeling good? Keep in mind, this is not technically live, so you can pause it and go get a drink of water if you are so in need, because you're not going to want to miss this. Derek, what's next? Let's find out what it is. The AML Award for Picture Book goes to Girls Who Choose God, Stories of Extraordinary Women from Church History, written by MacArthur Krishna and Bethany Brady Spalding, and illustrated by Kathleen Peterson, published by Deseret Book. The latest, Girls Who Choose God, is an engagingly written collective biography of 15 notable women of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, anchored by recognizable names, such as Lucy Mack Smith, Emma Hale Smith, and Emmeline B. Wells. It also includes women many readers may not know, like Desideria Quintanar de Yanez, or, in my case, may not be able to pronounce. I have this book in my house. I should have practiced more. Each biography features a decision in her life that encourages an interactive answer from the reader. Each is beautifully illustrated in warm hues that mimic historical photos with sepia tones, and each has a bordered illustration detailing the life and times of the subject. The simple, personal stories are complemented and extended by Peterson's expert illustrations. Congratulations, and I know they're here.
Hey there, Association of Mormon Letters. This is the team, Bethany, MacArthur, and Kathy, who created together the Girls Who Choose God, Stories of Extraordinary Women from Church History. And we are honored and humbled and elated to receive the award of Best Picture Book this year for this creation. And we just think the timing couldn't be better in this anniversary year of celebrating the first vision. We're so grateful to be able to share the stories, to highlight these remarkable women in church history who were essential and crucial in the restoration and bringing forth so much light and truth and goodness. We also love it that it is the 100th anniversary of the women winning the right to vote. And these fiery Mormon women who were pioneers in helping American women participate in democracy. And so, it's a crazy time in the world, but we want to make sure that their stories shine. And thank you for honoring them with this award.
This is MacArthur. I also so appreciate this award for the timeliness of President Nelson asking women everywhere to step into the world and contribute their talents. And for me, this means that this book highlights talents that have always been part of our church history. Our church history is full of women who use their talents to do good, to create good, to help the world. And so if you're looking for a model from the past or from the current world, or even looking to the future, that it's a great way to be inspired. So thank you for honoring these women and all of our opportunity to step in and use our talents.
This is Kathy Peterson. Also, thank you from me. A special thank you to MacArthur and Bethany for inviting me to illustrate this book for them. It was really a challenge and really fun. I come from a line of really strong women. Both my great-grandmothers were suffragettes. And so this was really fun for me to read about women of that same era and to learn so much myself about strong women. So thank you for this honor and thank you for this opportunity.
We have a light aircraft flying by. I don't know if it's being picked up by the microphone, but we'll pause for a moment. Thank you, Derek. Clearly, the powers that be wanted the AML Awards to continue. I just don't see any other explanation. The AML Award for Poetry goes to Homespun and Angel Feathers by Darlene Young, published by BCC Press. Homespun and Angel Feathers sits among its peers quietly with less flash or surface difficulty, yet Darlene Young's poems more directly, consistently, and deeply engage with the themes and paradoxes of Latter-day Saint life, all while maintaining a surface friendly to casual readers who simply want a spot of pleasure from beautiful language, easily understood. That she manages both these paradoxical tasks with consistent wit and true feeling places this collection among not only the best of 2019, but among the great works of Mormon literature generally. Congratulations, darling.
Hey, AML friends. I'm so glad to have this chance to tell you how grateful I am for this award. It's probably the most meaningful award that I could ever get. And that's because I feel like I can trace my decision to invest in myself as a writer directly to my participation with the Association for Mormon Letters. I remember days years ago when my children were little and I would kind of rush to put them to bed because I couldn't wait to get online to talk with my friends on the old AML list, that dial-up connection, how much it meant to me to interact with the people there and discover that there were other people out there interested in what an LDS literature is or what it could be. And I realized there was a possible audience for the kind of work that I wanted to do, and I've been writing for my AML friends ever since. There are also specific people that I met through AML that made a big difference to me. Angela Hallstrom, who encouraged me early on to take myself seriously, and Chris Bigelow and Harlow Clark, who published me very early on, maybe too early on, in Ariantum, and Nicole and James Goldberg, who encouraged me at a time when I was losing vision, losing faith in what I wanted to do. I'm so grateful to these people. I'm grateful to AML, for Andrew Hall, Eric Jepson, the other people on the board, either formally or informally, who are helping the organization. Lynn Palong, what you're doing matters. It matters a lot to get acknowledgement, and our culture is worth supporting. Work about and for our culture is worth rewarding. It means a lot to me. AML will always be in my heart. Thank you.
Well, when it comes to literature, poetry is probably the original art form, so we could stop there. But why would we? We got more awards to give and more wonderful work to celebrate. And honestly, it was a great work. It was a great year. As I mentioned earlier, I've managed to read quite a few of the works this year, watched some of the movies, and it was a good year. It was a good year. Let's see what's next. Eric? Thank you. Red card! Special award! This one goes to the Hive Zine, published by the Archive.
Hive Zine creators Lazaros, the Desert Prophet, and St. Michael excel at exploring dichotomies. They juxtapose the sacred with the profane, pop Americana culture with fundamental Mormon thought, always blending genre with form. They ask the question, what is Mormon art? Just as the original Millennial Star was a pamphlet and a byproduct of a larger movement, the Hive Zines are a byproduct of their creators' larger mission to act fundamentally as a collective, the Archive. These are young artists dedicated to creating community through multiple forms of media and contemporary creative processes. The Hive in all its forms is a reflection of zeitgeist. The Hive Zine builds a new mythology, one confident, self-assured, determined to enlarge and enliven the field of Mormon arts and letters.
Hello, my name is Lazaros.
And I'm the Desert Prophet. On behalf of the Archive, we are honored to receive this award. The Archive is an art collective that seeks to explore the middle grounds of Mormon art, and we're really grateful for AML for being an essential part of that because of their furthering of Mormon literature of all sorts.
Yeah, when I started Hive Zine in 2018, I had no idea it would end up being a collaborative effort, but I'm so glad that the other artists around me wanted to be a part of it. Since then, it has been incredible to see the diverse range of work it has grown to encompass. To all of the Hive Zine collaborators, past, present, and future, I would personally like to say thank you.
We hope all of you have enjoyed the Hive Zines that we've created so far, including 3 new ones in 2020. We wish we could meet all of you fellow creatives in person, but obviously we can't right now because of global conditions. But we'd love to meet you online. If you want to chat, drop us a line. at archive.net. That's ARCH-HIV.net.
Absolutely, and once again, we are so grateful to the Association for Mormon Letters for considering our work and for giving us this award. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The Hive zines, they really are exciting. I have a complete set, and I recommend them to all of you. Not just the ones from 2019, the ones from 2018, the ones from 2020, and any that may be forthcoming. Let's move on, shall we? Derek, what do we got? All right, the AML Award 2019 for middle grade novel goes to Words on Fire by Jennifer A. Nielsen, published by Scholastic. 12-year-old Audra knew how to blend in and avoid being noticed, but nothing prepared her for the night Cossack soldiers showed up on her doorstep to capture her parents and burn her home. Left on her own with instructions from her mother to deliver a mysterious package, she must start on a journey filled with unthinkable risks that will lead her to discover the power of words and the strength that can be gathered from uniting in the fight for freedom from an oppressor. The story of how a small spark of courage becomes a flame to be reckoned with is evocative and timely. Is Jennifer here?
Hi, my name is Jennifer A. Nielsen. I just want to thank all of you for this amazing award for Words on Fire for the Middle Grade Award. I am so deeply honored and appreciative. You know, this is a book that was kind of a last minute sort of thing for me. I had an entirely different plot in mind that I was going to write, and then I stumbled upon the story of the history of the Lithuanian book smugglers, and I was captivated. I knew at once this story that had been lost in history, that it had to be told. It's the story of the Lithuanian book smugglers who were smuggling books to save their country from the Russian Empire. And I think if I've learned anything from this, it is the power of words. Because if words are so powerful that we burn them and ban them, and here in this story, a people who risked their lives to preserve them, then how important is it for us today to write our words and then to use them to define who we are as individuals, as people, and who we are as an organization here. Our words do matter. Our words will change this world. Thank you very, very much for this award, and my best wishes for a wonderful reading year ahead.
Going strong. Derek, how many envelopes we got left? Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the next one, shall we? Thanks. The AML Award for documentary feature film goes to Jimmer, The Lonely Master, directed by Scott Christopherson. The nice guy is rarely seen as the most interesting person in the room, especially in the NBA where there is no shortage of abundant egos. But in Jimmer, The Lonely Master, filmmaker Scott Christopherson applies quiet attention to Jimmer Fredette, giving us a window into the heart of BYU's golden boy who, after losing his coveted spot in the NBA, finds himself living a world away from his wife and kids while working to make a comeback playing for the Shanghai Sharks. The film transcends the tropes of traditional sports documentary to show us the loneliness of discipleship as Jimmer struggles through disappointment and isolation. The comeback story, as Jimmer leads the Shanghai Sharks to the finals, is compelling, but it's the small and subtle moments of his insecurity and isolation that makes the film more than the sum of its parts. It's in those fleeting, unguarded moments that we see how Jimmer's commitment to greatness extends far beyond his sport. Turns out, being a nice guy is the hardest work of all. Is Scott here? Our next AML award. Let's find out. Thanks, Eric. The AML award for young adult novel goes to Lovely War by Julie Berry, published by Viking Press. Written as a multi-layered frame narrative, Julie Berry's Lovely War presents the love story of two couples, Hazel and James, Colette and Aubrey, caught in the grips of World War I. Their captivating romances intensify simultaneously with the tragedies and horrors they experience in the war, tugging readers' heartstrings in unexpected and poignant ways throughout the novel. Creatively blending romance, war, and Greek mythology, Berry's novel speaks to audiences dealing with racism, sexism, heartbreak, or fading hopes. Readers young and old will be enchanted, shattered, and renewed by the lovely war's collision of love and war.
Thank you so much for this kind and generous honor bestowed upon Lovely War. Thank you to the Association for Mormon Letters for administering this awards program, which uplifts and celebrates the beauty and merit in all books produced in our community, and not just those honored tonight. Thank you to the judges whose hard work evaluating submissions can't ever be repaid, and was certainly not easy. They have their own work to do and their own deadlines to meet, but they took time to give back and serve our community, and I thank them. It was a sacred privilege for me to study the lives of those tens of millions who fought and died in the Great War, the first of the two great cataclysms that ripped the 20th century apart, leaving behind a world gashed and bleeding. Learning of the sacrifice made by so many African American soldiers who fought for the ideal of American democracy and freedom, only to be betrayed and vilified by the America they served, broke my heart. As a mother of 4 sons of military age, it was a nightmare to contemplate the horror of losing sons and sweethearts to a needless, preventable war. We can do better. We don't have to repeat the crimes and follies of past generations. Our best safeguard is to understand the lessons of the past. If historical fiction for young people can help interest them in learning more about that past, it seems justification enough for me to keep doing what I do. Stories of wartime remind us that we are heirs to a great legacy of courage and sacrifice, and in particular, of coming together, forging unity despite differences, to confront our gravest threats, and bring about healing. That's the history worth repeating. Once again, my deepest thanks.
All this time sitting on the bucket. I wish I was standing like Theric. Well, you make your bed. What's next? Thanks, Theric. Yeah, no hard feelings. It is the AML Award for Narrative Feature Film. Our winner is The Other Side of Heaven 2, Fire of Faith, written and directed by Mitch Davis. Fire of Faith allows the cinematic story of John Groberg, last seen as a young missionary, to mature with wisdom and equanimity. Full of harrowing adventure, incredible scope, and impressive production value, Fire of Faith is a moving expression of the need for unity to invite God's healings and miracles. This film shows us imperfect church leaders, struggling to find faith amidst hardship, imperfect congregations, struggling against prejudice, and ultimately demonstrates that the perfect expression of a Zion community leaves space for all of God's children to assert their love and prayers through diverse expressions of faith. With strong performances and a beautiful score, Fire of Faith realizes an epic spiritual journey. Such a feat is testament to the skills of director Mitch Davis and his team of independent filmmakers, each skilled in their respective crafts. Is he here? Let's get to the final AML Award, celebrating the work of 2019. All right. The AML Award for Novel goes to Dean Hughes. Muddy, Where Faith and Polygamy Collide, published by Deseret Book. This is not Dean's first award, for those of you keeping track on Wikipedia. Muddy follows the experience of a pioneer couple, Morgan and Abigail, who obey Brigham Young's call to colonize a remote and arid part of the Mountain West. In their struggle to eke out a living with their fellow saints, the couple encounters additional trials including infertility, polygamy, forced relocation, and backbreaking labor. Hughes creates sympathetic characters intensely devoted to their faith, yet experiencing human doubts about the value of their efforts. Their struggles with prophetic authority, obedience, fertility, faith, and daily life are representative of their time and still relevant today.
Let me begin by thanking everyone for getting me to this place where I am today, stuck in this little office in front of a computer all day long, every day. This is today, isn't it? Or could it be yesterday? I don't think it's tomorrow because I have an appointment. Oh no, my appointment was canceled. So, I'm pretty sure it's today. To be serious for a moment, let me say that it means a great deal to me to be honored in this way by AML. I've always tried to walk a kind of delicate line. I write for what some people call the popular audience, for the general audience, and yet I try to do careful historical research, and I try to develop characters and, in short, write good fiction. But I've also always tried to challenge people, challenge my readers to think and to enter into some difficult subjects. And I've especially done that with Muddy and with the sequel, which is called River. So it means a great deal to me that the AML judges would recognize some literary merit in what I do. A few years ago, AML gave me a Lifetime Award, which was very nice, but I sort of took it as an encouragement to stop writing. So I'm pushing my limits to keep publishing books after the end of my lifetime. It's true that I'm very old and I could croak at any time, so it means all the more to me at the end of my days to receive this award for the novel of the year. Honestly, I really am grateful to be recognized in this way. Thank you.
And that brings us to the close of the awards section of the 2019 AML Derek has one more envelope. Excuse me, just a second. We've gone through all the categories. This must mean it's a special award!
Lisa Van Orman Handley wrote a fictionalized memoir that doesn't fit into genres neatly. Irreversible Things is part experimental fiction, part Bildungsroman, and discusses a multitude of irreversible things: death, growing up, moving, and missing out on Halloween because her mom won't let her trick-or-treat on a Sunday. Handley has a sense of humor in her imaginative descriptions. One character anticipates returning to Utah and tells of slices of bread as thick as the Bible. In another section, you, the reader, can choose what to do with the wig you discover in Grandma's room. As the protagonist ages, she encounters obstacles more typical of adults: infertility and her father's dementia among them. Happily, her father still remembers how to make a perfect Reuben sandwich with her. The writing is accessible and literary, experimental and familiar.
I cannot imagine that anyone would want this acceptance to be particularly long, so I will try to practice concision. I do need to thank my publisher, Howling Bird Press, my family, and the Association for Mormon Letters. I'm obviously thrilled that you are honoring my art, but I'm also thrilled that you are honoring art, period. Creating things feels especially important right now, if my Instagram feed is any indication. So many people are making bread. I want to thank everyone who makes art and everyone who takes in art, especially art that involves bread. I mean words. I like words. They make me feel lighter in a world that can sometimes feel incredibly heavy. Wooey guysies. Read the book if you want to know what that means.
Thanks, everyone, for spending some time in the backyard with me. Congratulations again to the winners and finalists, and thanks to each of them, to each of you, for bringing your work into the world, rendering it permanently improved. These are strange times, but the arts are still here to feed us and to change us. The arts and the communities we build around them. So, after a quick apology to Karen, sorry Karen, I just want to add this. The Association for Mormon Letters invites you to join us as we look forward. Here's just one for instance. We're always seeking book reviewers and other potential writers for the website. But long term, consider this. The AML and I were born the same year, so I clearly wasn't on any short list for the board back then. Who will the AML be in the decades following? Now, if only there were someone, maybe 8 years younger than me who could...
Got it.